What's up, Connor? Hi, I'm Anthony and welcome to Real Talk, KTIG's talk show. Today we have our special guest, Dr. Chawla, here to talk about COVID and its myths and just general information. So stay tuned for today's edition of the Real Talk. Once again, today we would like to welcome our special guest, Dr. Chawla. So let me just get to know a little bit about yourself.
So I'm currently a pediatric ER physician. I work at Texas Children's. I've been here for about, I would say, 2 to 3 years. And I pretty much only take care of patients in the pediatric ER.
So now that we have a little bit of general information, we can start out by just asking, what's your experience with COVID and how has it changed the world this year? Yeah.
So, that's a good question. Initially, when, COVID hit, it was very much of an unknown thing. It was scary. I think a lot of people, including people in the medical field, because this was new for us. I know they turned to medical experts for the answers, but we were also still trying to figure out the answers. I think it brought the world, as they say, to their knees. It changed our life in everyday aspect, and I think the thing about COVID is it affected everybody. It's not just elderly people, young people, middle age. It affected everybody, and it doesn't matter what your profession was either.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're a teacher, a physician, a nurse, or working at a grocery store, it affected everybody. I think for me personally, I have young kids too. I have kids that go to school. I work full time, so it was a struggle, as I'm sure it's been for a lot of families, trying to navigate this new way of life and system and with all those fears and anxieties that a lot of people had.
You said they were trying to navigate in a new life. What is one thing, the most important thing that you think we can bring the people back to normal,
So that's a really good question. In my mind, and if you talk to a lot of the medical experts, it's becoming vaccinated. Of course, being a pediatrician, I'm very much of an advocate of vaccines in general, and I know this is a new vaccine that's come up, and we're talking about that, but I think that is the key and the only step. We've done, some mitigation strategies, which you guys all currently do, the masks, the social distancing, talking about that. But for now, the next step to quote unquote end the pandemic is going to be vaccination.
We're taking these huge steps. We're taking vaccinations, staying 6 feet apart. We're, social distancing. We're doing all that, but how do you think, how long do you think it'll take for our life to get back to normal? Yeah.
So that's a good question. I think the thing about it is that, everybody wants to get back to normal. And I think if you're vaccinated, you're protected, potentially yourself and to those that are close to you, in your family.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have someone that's vulnerable that lives in your household, like an elderly family member, you're also protecting them as well as yourself. The hard part is that you're not just alone, right? You go out in the world, and so you may come into contact with others. The way that we're all going to feel safe and quote unquote get back to normal is if we build that herd immunity. And they say about more than 70%, 70 to 80% of the population should be vaccinated so that the spread of the virus is low.
So we know you're a pediatrician. How do you feel about these vaccinations?
Well, I feel very strongly that they work. They're effective. We can talk about for now on the market, there's 3 vaccines. There's the Pfizer vaccine, there's the Moderna. So Pfizer is given in 2 doses, as well as Moderna, and the Johnson & Johnson is in 1 dose. But Pfizer, you're able to get it if you're 16 and above. The other vaccines are 18 above, as adults. But right now the FDA is working with all the drug companies are working on getting emergency use authorization because they're doing clinical trials in children.
With all these clinical trials, the vaccination, you said that there's ones where you can be 18 or older and 16 or older. What is what are the side effects? Can you still get sick after the vaccination?
So that's a good point. So Pfizer and Moderna are known to be 95% effective. So what does that mean? There is a chance that you could get sick, but you get potentially mild disease. Most of the vaccines are 100% effective in preventing severe disease or hospitalization. So it's going to keep you from getting really, really sick or going to the hospital or potentially dying, I think they've been shown to be safe as well as effective. They did clinical trials on thousands of patients and collected evidence and data to say that they were safe and effective. Some of the most common side effects, I would say, would be arm soreness. Sometimes you can have some headache, fatigue. Some people I know that have received the vaccine have had, for example, fevers, chills, kind of feeling achy. Typically those symptoms last, within 24 hours they resolve. So in medicine, we always do a risk-benefit analysis. What are the risks of the vaccine potentially versus, the risk of getting COVID, I would say, and what are the benefits, And I think the benefits of getting the vaccine significantly outweigh all the risks that I can tell you about with COVID.
Well, we're taking this vaccination day by day. We're progressing strongly. And I'd like to say thank you so much for sharing. Next up, we'll talk more about, the myths surrounding COVID, and right after this quick break.
We are so excited to announce the official dates of the Tiger Talent Show. This year, the show will be on April 27th at 7 p.m. in the Conroe High School auditorium. There will be 10 acts, followed by a new teacher competition and special guest performances. We have a huge variety of talent that you really won't want to miss. No tickets will be sold at the door. They will be out for sale in advance only, starting on April 19th through April 26th in the paw print store. Make sure to make your calendar to get your tickets for the biggest event this spring. Tickets are $5 each. See you there.
Now we'll shift to a little talk about the myths about COVID. So I heard you had some questions for me, first of all, so let's get those out of the way.
Okay, great. So Anthony, have you received the vaccine?
No,
you have
I
not.
have not.
You have not. Okay. Do you have any questions about any of the vaccines or what you've been hearing in the news?
Not really. I think the only thing, it's just a shot, right? What is it? How is it, a vaccine? I've never taken a vaccine before. I've never been vaccinated.
Well, so it is just a shot. It's typically, they put it in your arm. For the Pfizer vaccine, it's 2 shots. So you get one, and then you have to come back in 3 weeks and get a booster. That builds your immunity. And the Moderna, you come back in 4 weeks. Do you have any hesitancies, about getting the vaccine? Or?
No, I'm not scared of needles. I'm not scared of anything. I might as well just take it, just try and be safe. Because I'm around a lot of people every day. I skateboard, go to the park. I'm around family members, and I pretty much might as well get a vaccine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it something you think you're interested in?
Yeah, it's a pretty smart idea for me because I'm around a lot of people and elderly people a lot.
Yeah. Do you have any fears about getting it?
Oh, no.
No,
No, I'm
fears?
fine. I mean, I'm pretty sure like I'll like feel side effects, like get sick for like one day, but that's about it.
That's about it.
That's
Okay.
the only thing.
Do you know anything else about the vaccines and like how they work?
Not really. I have no clue. I think years ago I heard about like a flu vaccine, but that was about it.
Yeah. Well, without getting into too much detail, I can tell you that, I know there's some fears that people have that it is affecting your body or changing you in some way. I think that's some of the myths that I've heard. But the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine are both mRNA type vaccines. They go into the cell, but they don't go into the nucleus, which is where the DNA is made. And basically, it makes the body with your immune system make antibodies to fight the infection. So is there a reason why it sounds like you're interested in getting it. So is there any reasons why you haven't yet, or?
It's because of my mom. She's like, oh, it's new. Like, it's just like a whole hesitant thing where she's like, I don't know if I can trust it and all that. But it's like,
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. When it was first coming out and they made this vaccine in less than a year, me being even such a proponent of vaccines, as well as wanting to end the pandemic and and have a vaccine so that we can get out of this, I was hesitant. I was a little worried about the fact that they did this really quickly.
Yeah.
It's really new. How can I trust it? And I'm in the medical field, but when I saw that they looked at the numbers and they looked at the data, and for scientists, it's all objective. It's not subjective. So when they looked at it and they said it worked and it was safe and people had very mild symptoms, when I looked at like the risks of potentially getting COVID or getting sick and how it could affect me and my family, I definitely realized that the risks that come with COVID are significantly more harmful than any risks that might be there with the vaccine, because the risks with the vaccines are pretty minimal.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the questions. I learned a lot about the vaccine. Might look more into it later. But next up, we'll talk about the vaccine's general information right after our daily announcements.
Do you want to be on the yearbook or newspaper staff next year? Pick up an application in room 227 at the main campus or at the front office. You can also scan the QR code from the flyers around school to sign up. Cash tickets are now on sale for the Tiger Talent Show at all lunches in the Paw Print store. Tickets are $5. The show is next week, so make sure to get your tickets today. Tickets can also be purchased by scanning the QR code on any poster or by going to ktignews.com. See you on April 27th at 7 p.m. This week's College of the Week is McNeese State University. McNeese State University is located in Lake Charles, one of the fastest growing areas in Louisiana, with more than 77,000 people. McNeese's campus includes a 122-acre main campus, 3 working farms, the Center for Advancement of Meat Production and Processing, a 65-acre athletic complex, radio station, and the Southwest Louisiana Entrepreneurial and Economic Development Center. Their low tuition rates, combined with high-quality curricular developed and taught by experienced faculty, plus a thriving on-campus community, means that students have a high-value education for a fraction of the cost of larger universities. If you want to attend an out-of-state university, McNeese State University may be the place for you.
To close out today's show, we wanted to talk about the vaccine's general information. So, first question for starters, have you taken the vaccine yet?
I have, yes.
What were your side effects? Because you said it's a minimal, like, of 24. I mean, a maximum of 24 hours.
Yeah, that's correct. So I received the Pfizer vaccine. Obviously, I was in the category of medical providers that were able to get the vaccine right away when it came out. My initial side effect with the first dose was just some arm soreness, and I didn't have any fevers, chills, headaches, and nothing like that. And everybody talks about after the second dose, it's like way worse. So after the second dose, I felt a little bit tired or fatigued. I definitely still had the arm soreness, and I had some lower back pain, but I didn't even take any medication, and the next day it went away.
So that's probably why a lot of people are hesitant. You know, it's just a maximum 24-hour thing. It's just temporary. But what can we do to protect people like you that are giving us the vaccine while we're in the process of getting it?
Well, that's a good question. I would say, you know, when you come in, you're probably going to be required, if you're going into any type of building or facility where they're doing that, that you'll wear a mask. But, you know, I would say most healthcare providers have received the vaccine. So we're protecting, you know, ourselves, and we're protecting others because we can't spread it as easily. But the other thing is that you have to go and come in and protect yourself, you know, because we can't protect you. We can prevent, you know, we're protecting us by getting the vaccine, and we're also preventing the spread of the virus.
While you're in the process of protecting us, before we take a vaccine, there's probably a little paper that we have to sign or something. What are some illnesses or like diseases that we should like inform you about beforehand?
Before receiving the vaccine?
Yes, ma'am.
There's really not any type of what I would say contraindication or reason that someone can't get the vaccine. Of course, we want to know your medical history. The only big thing that I think people would want to know is if you have had COVID within the last 90 days, because they don't recommend you receiving the vaccine if you've had an active infection within 90 days. And if you've had any type of severe or allergic reaction to a vaccine. That's something then that, you know, they would want to know about.
Yeah. How long does protection from this vaccine last? Like, will we have to get it like annually? Yeah.
So I think that the information about that is still unknown. So about 3 months ago, they said they measured titers in the people that were in the clinical trials, because they're still following those folks. And they had protection after 3 months. But now recently they said they probably are again still continuing to follow and check the patients that were in the trial for the vaccine. And now they say they have immunity for 6 months. So I think with as more and more time passes and more people get vaccinated, we're going to achieve herd immunity potentially, but also you know how long those titers for the antibodies remain elevated to give you protection.
If new strands of this vaccination pop up, how would that affect this? You know?
So they're testing that as well now. With the variants, you know, viruses want to replicate. So they're going to figure out ways to potentially change minutely to make it so that, you know, they can evade or get away from your immune system attacking it. So the variants they have found are a lot more transmissible, meaning they can spread quickly, and I think that's why you're seeing peaks of cases right now, despite people going out and getting vaccinated. But they have shown that the variants, the vaccines do work against the variants, but you have to get vaccinated. So the only way to have that protection, they haven't found any variants that I'm aware of that offer no protection from the vaccine.
So there may be variants, but there's also different people, you know, the elderly, children, you know, teenagers, adults. When will it be available to everyone?
So right now, as of I believe it was March 29th, I know initially they were doing the tiers, but now it's available to anybody 16 above. The Texas Health Department doesn't have it where there's any sort of restriction at this point, where only, you know, frontline workers, or then eventually they, you know, gave it to elderly or nursing home residents or those vulnerable populations. Those tiers are not in there anymore. There's vaccine out there. You just can look it up on the CDC website, on the Health Department website, and find a location where you can get vaccinated.
Well, last question. Do you feel that every day we're getting closer and closer to, you know, just a normal, better world with this whole entire vaccination thing?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that the key to ending the pandemic is the vaccine. And, you know, I've heard some medical experts say, like, the vaccines are like our home run. You know, it's like how we're gonna, you know, kind of win the game.
Yeah, drop our cases.
Yeah, so so I think as we get more and more people vaccinated, that's, I think a lot of experts are saying by the summer we're hopefully going to have a quote unquote, I don't know what normal is anymore,
Yeah.
but like a normal summer. A little bit more. For example, me personally, I haven't traveled. I'm going to take a vacation. I'm hoping to this summer. So back to normal.
I'm hoping we get back to a normal life too. So that's all the time we have for Real Talk today. Thank you, Dr. Chawla. Thanks so much for being with us today and talking about COVID. Viewers, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to stay tuned to KTIG's YouTube channel for another episode of Real Talk coming soon. And don't forget CHS, be the reason someone smiles today.